wiring harness, 3 bolts, 1 bolt on top of the frame, another bolt on top of the frame, 3 bolts, wiring harness. Once all that is removed, we can go ahead and carefully remove our super heavy factory rear bumper. Oh, it's so heavy. Wow, it's pretty light. We disconnected the passenger side. We removed these 3 bolts, and then disconnected that wiring harness as well. Now there will be 2 more bolts depending on your bumper that you have from factory that are gonna be tucked up right here behind the muffler and the frame. So there's 1 bolt on each side that you're gonna have to get out before you can remove your rear bumper. So there's the passenger side one right there. So after you remove your rear bumper, we're just gonna go ahead and dissect it by removing our wiring harness for our parking sensors, if you have them, and then also the license plate light, and that should be it. So this is the Westin Automotive Pro Series rear bumper that I'll be installing on my Bronco. It's already got pre-drilled holes for your sensors, and then pre-drilled holes for some flush mount lights. As you can see, there's no license plate holder, so you can either get one that attaches to your bumper or one that attaches to your Ford badge. I decided I'm going to install the spare tire delete kit that'll hold a license plate. So these are the Westin Automotive FM6 flush mount lights that Westin provided me for my rear bumper. Super nice, super clean. These are gonna sit flush on the rear bumper. So I'm gonna go ahead and install those first. They come with a little gasket here and hardware to attach to the bumper. Alright, so if you watched my front bumper install, the way you install the sensors on the rear bumper is going to be similar, but we'll go over that as well in case you didn't. But the first thing you want to do is make sure that your wiring harness is in the correct position. So to tell that your wiring harness for your sensors is the correct position is your license plate plug right here is on the driver's side of the rear bumper. So this is my passenger side. We want to make sure this side of this wiring harness is going to be on the opposite side of the bumper. So what you're going to need is this little L bracket. You'll need your bolt. I'm going to use the serrated flange nuts that come with the kit. These are actually supposed to be for your light covers. If you don't put lights in your bumper, they add these decorative covers that go on the outside. That's what these flange nuts are for. Otherwise, you would use these regular nuts. But since I'm not using those decorative covers for my light cutouts, I'm gonna use those flange nuts for these L brackets. So when you insert your sensor, you wanna make sure that the rubber gasket from factory is still on. You wanna make sure that sits flat. So your L bracket will rest against the back of your sensor. Your bolt will go through the bracket on the bumper. You'll add your flat washer, and then your lock washer, and then your serrated flange nut. And then you'll tighten down that bracket so it doesn't move. You'll repeat this step for the other 4 sensors. You will need to use the extensions. Westin does add an extension for 2 of the sensors as they won't be in the same spot as factory, so you will need the extensions for your sensors, but at least they sent you an extension. That way you don't have to splice these wires and hope that you did it correctly. Alright, all the sensors are in, held by the brackets supplied by Westin. Got my flush mount lights installed. I'm using the extension for the sensors. Got those on both sides. Now I'm just gonna clean up the wiring and zip tie everything into place. So, as I was trying to install the rear bumper, I found that if your bumper is equipped with this little attachment from the rear frame, you will have to remove this bolt here. That way this whole bracket comes off so your rear bumper does fit. So once you got your rear bumper on, you're gonna need to find this little bracket here. This is gonna slide into the rear frame horn. That way you're able to add an extra bolt here on the side. So right there you'll see the bracket that you inserted into the rear of the frame horn. That way you can bolt right here, the bumper, and then add these factory bolts back to the bottom of the bumper. So before you tighten the 3 bolts on either side of the bumper, you want to make sure that you pull your bumper out away from the tire. Otherwise, if you do it when it's pushed in towards the tire, you have less clearance for that tire. So pull it out as you tighten. That way you have as much clearance on your tire and your wheel well as possible. Once you tighten all the bolts, you should be all done. There's the finished product.